happens when a child is injured at school or in fact bullied at school? And you receive more and more questions about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously we all know that you go to school, you're going to scrape your knee, you're going to maybe even break an arm playing touch football at recess, but you know, there are also broader injuries that are occurring. You've got cases of schoolyard bullying, cyberbullying, which is something that's relatively new to us, and other forms of injury that students can suffer at school that may be compensable.
So when you say that, I mean, not everyone is instantly litigious.
Right.
But these are cases, maybe you could offer an example of where, I guess, either there's been a case of neglect or more.
Yeah, so certain activities, if you're talking about getting injured, there are certain activities that have inherent risks. However, I had a case, for example, where they were doing school bus training, where if there's an emergency and you have to exit through the back door of the school bus, they were requiring children to jump out the back of a school bus as part of the training. I had a student who had a disability and was unable to properly absorb a jump and bend his knees, and against his protests, he was, I'm going to say, essentially forced to jump out the back. And lo and behold, he breaks his leg, and this is the type of injury that, you know, shouldn't have occurred, and there was negligence, and we were successful in getting
completely avoided.
Yeah, and we were successful in getting him some compensation. But as we touched on earlier, some of the more challenging ones these days are the bullying, and no longer are the school boards allowed to just accept the fact that kids are kids and they'll do what they do. Now the school boards are required to provide an educational environment that's free of discrimination, harassment, and terror from one kid to another.
Well, there used to be a time when bullying occurred in junior high school or high school where someone would pass a nasty note or maybe be reckless in terms of gossip, and it maybe would last and be short-lived and then go away. Or someone's reputation could be sullied, and it is really reckless. But now parents and young people have to worry about something being online forever. What are you seeing? What should parents know? What should teens know?
Right. Well, I think, and even going back to the things that maybe we saw when we were younger, that's not acceptable. And now the rules are even stricter related to that type of bullying. But now, of course, with cyberbullying, you've got people that can hide behind a phone. And so it's easier to be mean if you're not going to be face to face with somebody. And of course, these things that are written they're indelible, they're there forever, and they can be proliferated anywhere. And so, and they escalate, and there are, a lot of things that can cause escalation of this kind of,
what can be done?
Well, what has been done is that in Ontario, part of the Education Act, we've got the Safe Schools Act, which has addressed this head on. The idea, if you look at the Safe Schools Act, it deals with things like prevention, intervention, and what the punishments are. And obviously it's everything from requiring a sit down and an apology to expulsion in the event that there's something that is worthy of that, or it's a repeated incident.
What about getting police involved? Because I know that police are taking this very seriously.
Absolutely. Well, and it is a criminal offense. If it's defamation, well, defamation is not a criminal offense, but if there is some sort of threat of personal harm, which usually often these things do include, then that's a criminal offense. That's an assault on somebody, and the police take it very seriously, and it is a criminal offense.
So I guess bottom line, because this is a very broad subject, everything, from a broken leg to a ruined reputation. So what's your best advice to those who are watching?
Well, I mean, you got to keep on top of things as a parent. The standard that a teacher needs to meet is that of a careful and prudent parent. And so if you're kind of keeping an eye on what's happening at school, are they being careful and prudent parents based on a reasonable standard? But you got to monitor your kids' use of devices for sure.
Fair to say, it's not an easy time to be a parent, and it's not an easy time to be an educator either.
Nope.
Is it an easy time to be a lawyer?
Well, it's always interesting.